Well, hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. In this adventure, I head out to the rural community of Santa Ysabel, California. Nestled in between Warner Springs to the north and Julian to the south, Santa Ysabel is known for its historic mission and nearby Dudley's Bakery. And, of course, my favorite, the Julian Pie Company. Now, I always brag about the Julian Pie and about their apple nut muffins, but this morning here I'm having a glass of their apple cider, and that is phenomenal apple cider. Just a little word of warning though, this isn't processed cider like you get in the grocery store. This is natural. And it has, I hate to say this, but it has some kind of a mild laxative effect if you drink a lot of it. So before you go let the kids chug away on the road home back into San Diego, just stand by. But it's phenomenal. Anyway, let's get going on our adventure into the Santa Ysabel Preserve, the West Trail. Now, I've driven through the Santa Ysabel Valley many times on my way up the mountain to Julian, but this time I'm taking some time to explore the 5.6-mile Santa Ysabel West Preserve Trail. Along the trail, I'll see a series of beautiful rolling hills, some grazing cattle land, and some magnificent old oak trees. A perfect place to stop for a scenic picnic while admiring the views. All of this will be coming up in this next edition of the Hiking Journal, the Santa Ysabel West Preserve Trail. The Santa Ysabel West Preserve is located between Santa Ysabel and Ramona, about 40 miles northeast of San Diego. There's also an East Preserve Trail. It's a short distance away, but I'm going to save that for another day. The 5.6-mile loop trail I'm taking today is considered a moderately challenging route and takes an average of 2 hours and 50 minutes to complete. And of course, it'll take me a little longer because I'm shooting video and I'm also making a great lunch stop on top of the hill. This is a very popular area for hiking, horseback riding, and running, so you'll likely encounter lots of other people while exploring. The trail is open year-round and it's beautiful to visit just about any time. Dogs are welcome, but they gotta be on a leash. According to all trails, portions of the trail are steep. Yeah, no kidding. Numerous oak trees populate the hills, with several picnic tables along the way. And I take advantage of a nice new one on this adventure. While majority of the trails are along a fire road, you won't really mind, as the views across the rolling hills are spectacular. The only bummer I really noticed along the way was the lack of switchbacks. You see, the fire roads generally just climb straight up and straight down, and sometimes the hills are steep, and boy oh boy could I use a switchback or two today. According to the County of San Diego Parks and Recreation Department, for your safety, stay on the trails and avoid playing in the creek. Carry plenty of water, dress in layers, and wear sunscreen and appropriate footwear. Now, I know these are generally good rules to follow just about anywhere on a hike, but on my adventure, the excessively steep and rocky sections took advantage of the great traction on my Palladium boots, and my lightweight windshield sure kept that chilly breeze at bay while I was making the lunch stop on top of the hill. Even though I didn't run into any snakes today, most likely due to the time of year and the temperature, this looked like prime time reptile country. And I wouldn't doubt if it's common to see many varieties of snakes basking in the sun along the warm dirt trails, especially the rattlesnakes, the San Diego variety gopher snakes, and a coach whip racer or two. Almost halfway through the loop today, I had to drop down to the Santa Ysabel Creek and cross not only once, but twice. Well, you ready to go visit the Santa Ysabel West Preserve? All right, let's hit it. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today I'm taking a drive out to Santa Ysabel. I don't know if you know where Santa Ysabel is. It's kind of just north of Julian and, 30, 40 miles east of Oceanside. And, I've been by here a million times. And, I've always kind of wanted to do some of the trails around here. They're mostly just meandering trails that kind of go up and over the hills and the grasslands. But it is scenic, and even though it's not spring yet, it's still winter. The rains have greened up everything a little bit, so it'll be a little more scenic than it probably would be later on in the year. Hopefully we'll see some wildlife today. Hopefully we'll see some wildflowers today. I don't think there should be a whole lot of people out here because it is a weekday, and it's still a little chilly. It was in the mid-30s at my house, but it's warmed up considerably just in the hour it's taking me to drive out here. 45 minutes it's taking me to drive out here. It's already 45 5 degrees here, so 10 degrees difference. We're likely to see some cows today, quite a bit probably. Maybe we'll get lucky to see a coyote or a fox or a bobcat. And then maybe there's that outside chance we'll see a deer. You never know. So I'm going to be heading down just a little ways here. It's just past the turnoff for Ansparego. In fact, there's some cows out in the pasture on the right. But anyway, we're going to be going past Highway 76, which goes to Lake Henshaw. And just in front of me and to the left up here is Julian. And the place we're going to be going to, the Santa Ysabel Preserve, has two main trails. It has the East Trail and the West Preserve Trail. We're going to be taking the West Preserve Trail. It should be a round trip hike of about 6 miles, roughly. It's got some hills, but it's mainly a fire road walk. It's going to be an easy day today after the after the debacle in the Lawson Peak Trail with me and Dave, and then the rain and the sleet that pounded us up on Corte Madero Peak. This is going to be a nice, easy stroll in the prairie. So I'm kind of actually looking forward to this. This will be a super easy day. Hopefully it'll be scenic, and you'll get a good idea of what it's like out here in the Santa Ysabel Preserve. And the best thing about it, it's a stone's throw from Dudley's and the Julian Pie Company. So I already received the order from the wife before I left the house to pick up, not a pie, because we just bought one, just had one. But we're going to pick up a couple of the apple nut muffins. Those are phenomenal. So anyway, that'll be coming up here as I hike the West Preserve Trail at the Santa Ysabel Preserve. And the other thing that I might do too is the Santa Ysabel also has a mission out here. And I've driven by it, I don't know, a million times. And they have a cemetery. I've never been to the mission, and I've never been to the cemetery. So maybe today will be the day. So maybe when we're done doing the hike here on the way back, we'll cruise into the preserve on the other side of the highway, on the east side of the highway, and take a look at the Santa Ysabel mission, which dates all the way back to the 1850s. And wow, there's a whole bunch of cattle over here on the right. I'm sure I'm going to get a good look at those today. And you never know, we might even see turkeys. So anyway, that'll all be coming up in the next edition of the Hiking Journal. My trip to the West Preserve Trail out in Santa Ysabel, inland San Diego County. Alrighty, we'll see you in a little bit. Well, we're just now coming into Santa Ysabel, and we're going to be making a right. The preserve is to our right, and what do you know it? There's the Julian Pie Company, my favorite stopping point, as I'm coming down from Julian or any of the great hiking trails down in this area. This time, instead of going left to Julian, I'm going to be going right and heading to the preserve. And the preserve, from what I gather, is just right up the road. In fact, there's Dudley's right there to my right. And we're going to be heading over to Dudley's, and I've got to be looking for the West Preserve Trail, which is not that far up the road, I don't think. Looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day here. And he's got to look for the turn to the West Preserve Trail. This preserve kind of reminds me of, oh, here it is right here. Oh, geez. Not like getting a head start here, getting a notice. Just came right to it. And looks like there's nobody here at the trail. They do have a bathroom, which is nice. I wasn't anticipating that. Take advantage of that. It looks like there's a picnic table. And I gotta go get some. I've got like quite a bit of camera gear I gotta play with today, so. Don't know if there's a fee to come here. I'm not really sure. Okay, open 7 days a week. I don't know where you park. I guess I'm just gonna park right here. All right, well, here we are at the Santa Ysabel County Preserve. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today, I'm out at the Santa Ysabel West Open Space Preserve. I'm about 10 miles just west and a little bit north of Julian, and just a couple of miles west from Dudley's Bakery and the Julian Pie Company. So I've driven by this place several times. It's called the Open Space Preserve. It's mainly rolling hills, as you can see. There's some magnificent oak trees back in here. There's also a creek crossing, and there's a loop trail at the top as we're going to be climbing up to the top of the ridge over there. We're likely to see cattle, grazing cattle along the trail, along with, hopefully we'll see some wildlife, coyote, a fox maybe. Who knows? Who knows what we'll see? Hopefully a deer of some kind. Maybe we'll even see a snake. It's a little cool still. It's only about 45 degrees here at the trailhead. It was 35 at my house, and believe it or not, it's warmer here. But there is a pretty cool breeze that's kind of blowing through here, and I'm sure I'll be fine once I start walking. I do have a wind chill just in case, but anyway, there's only one other person here at the trailhead. They pulled up and I was getting all my stuff ready. Real nice lady with a couple of dogs, so maybe we'll run into her along the trail. We'll be doing about a 6-mile loop up through the Santa Ysabel Open Space Preserve, the West Trail. That'll all be coming up next in this edition of the Journal. Stay tuned. Well, welcome to the Santa Ysabel West Preserve. Well, as I'm starting on the preserve, so there's only one other person here today, so that'd be a nice hike. Well, you know, I'm only a few hundred feet from the trailhead, but I tell you what, it's a little breezy here, and that wind's a little chilly. I can feel it whipping around my neck, and thank God for the wool gloves, and I do have wool socks on, and I've got this kilt is pretty warm, believe it or not. You wouldn't think it would be. I've also got a base layer on under this lightweight breathable shirt, and I wasn't planning on actually wearing the base layer. I just wore that in the car on the way here, and I thought, you know, I might just keep that sucker on. I do have a wind chill in the back, so we'll see if I need that a little later. But right now it's breezy and it's cool, but it's refreshing. Well, as I'm walking along here, I haven't gone very far, a quarter mile maybe, and just over this rise I noticed there's a pond over here. Looks like they've got a little water tank. Let's go check that out. The other thing I noticed, you won't be able to see it because he's off in the distance, or she is off in the distance. This looks like a cattle grazing area. I've seen several female robins out here. They have the orange breast. I kind of like think of, they're not robins, they're orioles. Orange-breasted orioles, you know, kind of like the Baltimore orioles. The female version of the oriole has a more subdued color, and the male is a little brighter, so he can attract a mate, and the female is a little more drab, so she can protect her eggs and her young ones in the nest. She'll be a little better camouflaged. But I've seen several of those already today, and I guess this is probably just a watering pond for the cattle, but it is scenic. I don't know if this is here year-round, or is it just here this year because of the extra rainfall. In fact, there's another oriole right there above a little dirt mound. See if I can get a picture with my camera. Oh, she's running over here. You know, I have seen several ground squirrels so far. I've also seen one tree squirrel. Looks like I'm going to do a little bit of climb as a ground squirrel over there running through the field. I saw 2 coyotes on the way in this morning. They were off in a field over in Warner Springs. I didn't see any turkeys today, but I wouldn't be surprised if I run into some turkeys here today. It's like a pretty steep climb I got coming up. Probably feel good though. I'm still just a little bit chilled. And this is a pretty steep climb as well. It's good for your legs, good for your heart, keep you in shape. Boy, they're making me work for it early here on this hike. It's definitely going to heat me up, that's for sure. And pretty big dip coming down. That's over toward Julian, that direction over there. We're continuing up here to the left. continues up. You know, as I'm working my way up the hill here, I'm actually working up quite the sweat. Well, as I reached the top of the hill here, it came to a fork. It goes right and left. It's part of the loop, I imagine. So I went right, and I'm going to be taking the loop counterclockwise. I'm beginning to head downhill now. Looks like I'm going to go down quite a ways down to the valley. And we're heading directly into the wind, almost northeast. And it's still a little chilly. I mean, it warmed me up going up them hills, but you know, now that I'm going down, I don't have that level of exertion that I did. So I can feel the breeze. It sure is pretty down here though. And what's kind of funny is, you know, I just gained all that elevation going up that hill, and now it looks like I'm going to lose it all. I'm going to go all the way down to this bottom of this valley and then have to climb it all over again. Well, it adds to the workout, I guess. You know, I've seen so many ground squirrels out here today. I'm surprised I haven't seen any big owls, barn owls, or I think there was another squirrel, or hawks, because this would be a perfect spot for a hawk out here with all these ground squirrels. You think he could just swoop down when one of them's not paying attention and be a quick meal for him, you know? I'm hoping I see a fox or a coyote or a deer or something. That'd be kind of sweet. As I'm getting further back, I'm getting a little more remote. You don't hear the car traffic going down Highway 78 anymore, so that's a good thing. I got a pretty good view in front of me here. This is the view looking north and west along the trail. I'm just off the trail just a little bit here. There's a little bit of water here as it cascades down this little drop off here, and it looks like over on this side, I don't know if they have a spring that feeds this, or this could be yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like a piped spring. And actually, the water's pretty clear. Green rolling hills. Well, I just rounded the top of another hill and came upon this spectacular view. This is looking north. A couple of houses down there. I believe that's probably Highway 78 down there. There's also, you won't be able to tell probably from the video, but on those three little rocks that are sticking up right there, there's a acorn woodpecker sitting right on top. He's black body with white spots on his wings and his red head. He's sitting right there on top. He, right when I came to the top of the hill, he took a little lap around the woods and then landed right back in the same spot. So maybe we'll see him take off here in a minute. See if I can get a little closer. I'm sure he'll fly. I still haven't seen any cattle yet, which is kind of surprising. I can't believe this woodpecker's let me get this close. I wonder if he's sitting on a nest or something over there somewhere. Doesn't want me to get... Oh, there he goes. He's so little. Well, I did read that at some point you have to cross the creek down here. This is Santa Ysabel Creek. And it looks like all the rains and snow that we have done us good. And that black lad that's way up on the hill up there, he came sprinting away from that lady all the way over across the hillside to see me. So I gave him a good pat and then sent him back along his merry way. But boy, it sure is pretty down here. That water looks nice and cool and crisp. clean. And it looks like there's a sign over here. Let's go see what that says. Well, I think this is going to be a cold and wet crossing. Oh man, this is like snow melt. My legs are already numb. Wow, this is cold. Whew. Glad I didn't have to walk in wet boots though. Oh, I think when I get back, I'm going to look at the trail description again and see what the elevation gain on this hike is. It's like, this is incredibly steep. Might not look like much on the camera, but it's like you go up and you go down, you go up and you go down. And it's not so much the ups, it's the grade of the ups. This is like 45 degrees. Earlier, it was steeper than that coming away from Santa Ysabel Creek. It was almost steep enough where you could put your hands out and touch. So for a nice easy stroll through the preserve, I'm getting my money's worth. When I was looking at the trail report, I saw this in the some of the people's photos. I thought, how cool is this? This has been shellacked or something, part of it. Some of it's worn off. There's an owl down here in the tree. And this is the split. Looks like Ridge Trail is going to go this way, and the Upper Creek Trail is going to go that way. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the Ridge Trail to the right. We're going to make a loop around the top of this hill, and my guess, come right back to this spot, go back down to the creek, and then take a different trail on the way back. So it looks like we're taking the Ridge Trail to the backside of the Santa Ysabel Preserve. It's windy up here. Well, I'm on the Ridge Trail now, and boy, what a phenomenal view! Yeah, that's over that direction. That's actually Dudley's and Julian Pine Company. I can see it from here. Oh, it's a nice cool breeze up here. It feels great. I thought I'd be overheating in this layer, and so far it feels great. This is a spooky tree, man, for sure. Oh, there's another one right over here. Top of this hill, I'm going to get some great views. Well, I reached the top of the trail here, the top of the Ridge Trail, and I've got my old Optimus 8R backpack stove from the early 70s, maybe even mid 60s, I'm not even sure. I've got it heating up some water for me here, but the wind is blowing pretty strong. I had to put on my wind shell because I was getting cold, and while this is heating my water up for my top ramen, I'm just going to cook it. This is my heavy cover. Actually, it's not heavy cover. It's Keith titanium canteen cup. I'm going to put my top ramen. And today I have chicken flavored top ramen. And since last night we went to Sam's Club, we picked up a rotisserie chicken. So I went ahead and decided to bring some rotisserie chicken with me and put it inside my top ramen. Make it a little better than just plain old top ramen. I said this wind's blowing pretty good. If I move this windscreen, I have a feeling that it's gonna blow out my stove. So hopefully I'll do the best I can. And just as a backup, just in case, I did bring my old Snow Peak Gigapower stove and a canister, isobutane canister, so I can use that if I have to. And I might anyway, just maybe after my top ramen and my beer, maybe I'll decide I want to do a cup of coffee while I'm at it. I did bring some coffee, because like I always do. I always bring my coffee. But today's beer is going to be Peter's Brand Classic. It says a Dutch-style Pilsner, imported lager. That's what this one is. Peter's Brand. I've had this one before. I got it at Trader Joe's. Hopefully it won't fizz up too much since it was in my pack. This one's really good. I had it in the ice chest in the Jeep until I got here, and then I put it in this koozie and then packed it in, so it's actually cold. Once this water gets boiling, I'll pour it in my cup. I actually have a lid for this over in my pack. I'll have to dig that out here in a minute. Meantime, as long as I don't blow away, hopefully my water will heat up. Pretty soon I'll have some really good chicken flavored top ramen. Well, I'm cooking up my my top ramen. I'm trying to boil some water in my old Optimus 8R backpack stove, but the wind is pretty fierce right here. And I've got the windscreen on the back of it that's helping quite a bit, and it's getting close, but still, it's still pretty windy. So whenever my water gets hot enough and starts to steam up a little bit, starts to boil, I'm gonna pour it in my Keith Titanium canteen cup that I have ready for my chicken flavored top ramen. So that's going to be coming up here next. Well, this is probably going to go out the second I take down this windscreen, but I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. My water was not quite at a rolling boil, but it was full of bubbles, so I think that's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my top ramen here. Let it heat up, the top ramen and the chicken. You see the steam coming out. Oh, there goes the lid. And it looks like I poured just enough water to rehydrate this top ramen. What I want to show you is this. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. This is from Opinel. And if you're familiar with Opinel knives, they have the Opinel number 8, which is your standard wood-handled carbon steel folding knife. It has a lock, but it's kind of a funky lock. It's not the locking mechanism you normally see on a everyday carry knife. But this is a really neat little picnic set. And what I found phenomenal was this came with not only, I'll tuck this under so you can see it, not only came with an Opinel number 8 knife, which is what I kind of modified. I went ahead and put some coloration, some patina, forced patina on the blade, and I went ahead and sanded and refinished the handle. But what's cool about this is this part here. This comes with a spoon and a fork. And since I'm eating top ramen, what's really interesting is that this fits right inside the knife. And then the locking mechanism locks around it. So not only do you have a knife, now you have a fork and a napkin. So I'm going to use this, and it's very sturdy. You'd be surprised how sturdy this is. This is very sturdy. And it's a nice size, and it's a nice stainless steel fork as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use it to stir up my top ramen with my chicken. That's going to have to sit a bit while I continue having some of my beer. But isn't that the niftiest little thing? This is an open-L picnic set. And it also has the knife, it's built in, has the fork, and it has the spoon. And it's about 25 bucks. But I just like how it all fits in this nice little napkin. It rolls up nice. It fits inside your day pack for picnics. And I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, I'm going to wait for my top ramen to hydrate. Actually, the wind stopped right now. And this is nice. It's funny, I brought a stool. I don't need it. I got a picnic table. Anyway, it's almost lunchtime. Well, I think my top ramen is about ready. I checked it a few minutes ago, and looks pretty good. Probably going to cool off fast in this breeze, I bet. So I'm just going to sit here in the wind, enjoy my top ramen and my beer. And I brought a little thing of Ritz crackers. This is a nice size of Ritz cracker. Goes perfect with the top ramen and the beer. I'm going to have to work my way all the way down the ridge, around the front of that. There's another pond over here, back around the other side of this ridge, and back down to the bottom, cross the creek again. I'm going to go back up that steep hill and then back down the other side of the steep hill. So I've got a long way to go still. Well, I'm at the far west end of the preserve. We've got some ducks cruising on the water there. I don't know if this is a seasonal pond or this is a pond that they have most of the year. It's pretty scenic. Boy, he was flying low over the creek here. All right, well, here we go, back across the creek. I tell you what, I got my shoes right here, and this water is cold. I gotta find a spot to put on my shoes. Well, to give you an idea of the steepness of this grade, this is like 45 degrees, especially when you get to that spot that's got gravel on it. That's extremely steep. I remember coming down this. Now I got to go up it. Hopefully this will be one of my last climbs, last major climbs. But you know what they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Save my time, take breaks as I need them. It's not that far, just steep. All right, well, hopefully I'm done climbing for now. That was brutal. As I'm getting to the top of this rise here, I'm looking over the peaks. This is looking, I guess this would be due east. And I'm pretty sure the peak, the pointy peak with the drop off, the steep drop to the right, I think that's Cuyamaca Peak. And the one to the far left is Julian. And the one in the middle is, guess what? Middle Peak. Pretty sure that's what that is. I'll have to check when I get home. But, oh man, I hope I'm done climbing because I'm pretty tired right now. And I've worked up quite the sweat. But I'm not too far from the car. And at least now I'll be going into the breeze. That'll help. Well, I made it around the whole loop here at the Santa Ysabel West Preserve. It was about, I'm going to guess and say it was about 7 miles. And boy, there were some steep uphills and some steep downhills. And it was definitely scenic. I didn't see any wildlife. I was kind of surprised. But on the way back, I did run into one gal who was hiking solo. And then I ran into a guy with his great big huge bulldog. That was kind of a treat. The dog was having some tough times. He was going slow. And back at the trailhead, there's several cars here. There's a couple of gals over there. They're getting ready to go do a little hike. And it's, what time is it? It's Oh, it's only 10 after 1. I thought it was a lot later than this. So maybe after this I'll run over to Dudley's. I'll get me an apple nut and muffin. And on the way home, maybe I'll stop off and see the Santa Ysabel Mission and the cemetery. It's on the way home anyway. It was a treat crossing the creek. I gotta admit, that water was cold, man. That was some Julian snow melt, I bet you. Or it comes out of Santa Ysabel somewhere up in that direction. Who knows? But anyway, the bulldog's slowly making his way back. Maybe I'll get a picture of him when he comes in. I'd kind of like to let you guys take a look at him because he's kind of a sight for sore eyes. He's definitely having a tough time. Well, anyway, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in the next edition of the journal. I don't have anything planned. It's mid-February, so we're not going to know for another couple of weeks, another month before whether we get the permit for Whitney. So if we're fortunate enough to get the Whitney permit, then that's when my training begins. I'm going to have to do some running, I'm going to have to do some stair climbing. I'm going to have to definitely lose 10 pounds because I'm not going to haul it up that trail. That's a 23-mile trail with over 6,000 feet of elevation gain. It's a little over 11 and a half, I think, from the Whitney portal to the top. So it's 23 miles round trip. And if we do it as an overnighter, we got to carry a pack. So you got to figure in that weight too. So anyway, alrighty, well, you guys take care, and I'll catch you down the trail. Take care, bye-bye. As I was hiking this last flat section toward the Jeep, I could see a man hiking with a very large dog who seemed to be lumbering just a bit on the trail. He was off leash, but obviously in no mood to run off the trail chasing ground squirrels or those pretty orioles. As I passed, I was introduced to Brutus, a larger-than-life bulldog who was just a little tired to say the least. I spent a moment or two talking to Brutus's owner, who was from Georgia and here visiting the San Diego area and enjoying a nice scenic stroll through the preserve. Brutus, meanwhile, posed for some great pictures. Well, there's Brutus, man's best friend. He's making his way back from the trail at the Santa Ysabel Preserve.
Give him your pose, Brute. Show him the pose. He knows what posing is.
Oh, I bet he's got a lot of pictures.
Oh, yeah, thousands.
Well, you made it. You can go back to the car, get a big drink of water now, get a treat.
Yeah, he is ready now.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Hiking Journal, my visit to the Santa Ysabel Preserve West Trail. When I got back to the Jeep, I checked the GPS on my watch, and I discovered that I had hiked 7.13 miles today. Just a bit longer than the 5.6 miles on the All Trails page. No wonder I was so damn tired. Well, if you have any questions or comments about this or any other edition of the Hiking Journal, drop me a note in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to click and subscribe and tap that notification bell to get the latest updates as I post them. Once again, have a great day, and I'll see you on the trail. Bye-bye. Well, I'm heading back from the Julian Pie Company. I did stop and get a couple of apple nut muffins. There's the visitor center for the Santa Ysabel Nature Center. I've never been there either. It's so early. It's only 1:35. There's cattle on both sides of the road now. I think I'm going to make a stop off at the Santa Ysabel Mission. I've always wanted to see the mission. I've never made a stop there, so it's early enough in the day. I got nothing to do when I get home, so today looks like the day, and it looks like it's coming up here on the right. So I'm going to check out the Santa Ysabel Mission. Here's another sign for the Santa Ysabel Open Space Preserve. This is the east entrance. There's the trailhead right there, but you have to park on the shoulder, which I'm not really that thrilled about. And this looks like this could very well be the mission turnoff right here. In fact, here is the Chapel of Santa Ysabel. Let's go check that out. Maybe we'll do a walk around the cemetery. Looks like there's somebody over there looking at the tombstones over there. See if I can find me a place to park out of the way, and we'll go check out the Santa Ysabel Mission. Well, this is the front of the Santa Ysabel Mission. I've always wanted to come here. I've driven by it 100 times. I've never had the opportunity to actually go inside the mission. I think this mission was built in the 1840s. Oh, earlier than that. Santa Ysabel Indian Mission, established 1818. Wow. It's locked. Well, this is the Santa Ysabel Cemetery. Let's go in here and check this out. Earlier, when I pulled in, the mission was open, and now it's not. Antonio Cuevas, 1861 to 1941. Look at that one. Well, so far, this is one of my favorites. Somebody gave Ronaldo Duarte Sr. a Budweiser. And this one's kind of funny. It's full of beer cans, marijuana leaf, a Grinch, and a Raiders logo. 4 skins forever. I don't even want to know. Well, that was a little bit of a letdown, the mission. I pulled in, the mission was open. By the time I got out of the car, got my camera, the guy walked away and got his car and left. Talked to another lady, she said they close at 1:45, so I missed it by seconds, pure seconds. And that's not the end of the world. I come by here quite often when I go to other trips, so I'll have to make another effort to stop here on another day. Turned out to be a gorgeous day. Roll the window up so it's not so noisy. It turned out to be an absolutely stunning day out here near, kind of near Julian, I guess. And the hike was good. It was a little steeper in spots than I imagined, and it seemed a little longer than what I anticipated. I read that it was just a hair under 6 miles, and it ended up being 7.13 according to my GPS, so it was a little longer than I thought it would be. And at one point when I was heading up that big steep hill, my pulse got to 140, so looks like I'm gonna have to pass this guy here. There's a couple of slow pokes I noticed, people driving like 40 miles an hour on the road. The speed limit's 55 through here, so I know there's the big rigs up ahead of me, so this won't last long, but anyway, I got my apple muffin from Julian. I also picked up a small jug of apple cider, which I couldn't pass up. That's great in the morning after I walk the dogs. In the meantime, I'm going to have my Jarritos Lime Mexican Soda. Say hi to the Jeep Wave, and going to be heading home. I'm heading back toward Warner Springs and eventually the house. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this edition of the Journal, my trip out to the Santa Ysabel Preserve, the west side. And I'll see you in another edition down the trail. Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.